Anyone here familiar with Marcy McDonald?
Yeah,
Put your hands up.
unfortunately.
People, put your hands up. Marcy's not here, is she? Anyone from the media here? Okay, good. So just for those of you who are familiar with Marcy, I just want to, I make a point of doing this at the very beginning of when I'm saying anything. I just want to clarify that I really am not a leader of a right-wing militant radical Christian sect bent on taking over the government and imposing a Christian theology on the rest of the country. So that's not me, no matter what Marcy McDonald and the Toronto Star say. When I was younger, someone with a lot of experience in public speaking told me never to begin an address by saying that it's a pleasure to be here. I'm going to break the rule by saying that I am happy to be here. And to have the opportunity to say a few words in support of two of this country's foremost defenders of liberty, Kathy Shadle and Arnie Lemaire. Better known by their respective nom de guerre, 5 Feet of Fury and Blazingcatfur. Now, as an aside, I'd like to suggest to you that it's easy to understand the name 5 Feet of Fury once you've met Kathy. Or I only hear this, I haven't experienced it more appropriately if you've crossed Kathy. And by the way, Kathy, I mean that with the greatest respect. But Blazingcatfur? What kind of a person names their blog Blazingcatfur? More to the point, though, what kind of a person would take the risk of suing somebody whose blog is named Blazingcatfur? Anyway, it's particularly appropriate for us to be holding this event on the first night of Hanukkah. Although Hanukkah is not referred to as the Festival of Freedom, Zman Charatenu, in our liturgy, it is imbued, and the theme of freedom and liberty permeates the holiday. And and some of you heard me speak this way, say a little bit about this, and if, I don't mean to sound repetitive, but it's an important thing to talk about. Words like freedom and liberty have really virtually disappeared from our lexicon. And that's too bad, because freedom and liberty are at the very heart of our heritage as Canadians. It's a heritage that reaches far back beyond Confederation, that includes the seminal events in the birth, the conception, the birth, and the coming of age of parliamentary democracy. And it's a heritage that we share with a handful of nations around the world, including the United States, and including our brothers and sisters in the State of Israel. But what's at stake here for us right now is more than just the loss of an important part of our heritage. We are living in dangerous times. Like it or not, we have enemies in this world. And the line that divides us from our enemies, more than anything else, the issue that differentiates us from them, is liberty. It is freedom. It's become a little bit faddish, I think, in some circles, to analyze closely the thoughts and emotions of our enemies in an effort to better understand and explain their actions. Personally, I don't care what motivates them. It could be the cultish adoration of a single leader, such as we saw with National Socialist Germany in the 1930s and 1940s, and that we see in North Korea today, and in a dozen other countries around the world. It could be the corrosive class theories of Karl Marx, under which so many of our fellow human beings continue to struggle and suffer. Or it could be a particularly violent and virulent interpretation of the Quran, such as is sweeping much of the Islamic world today and beyond. Whatever the source of their ideology, whatever the source of their animus towards us, the enemies of liberty share this common characteristic: a system of government that, whether controlled by one person or one party, recognizes no limit on its authority and strives to regulate every aspect of public and private life, usually, allegedly, for the good of those that it seeks to regulate. Now, if this sounds familiar to you, it's because it should. Because not only does it accurately depict the character of government our enemies abroad embrace, it also accurately describes the character of government that our opponents here at home desire. Their methods may be a little more subtle, and in the case of human rights commissions today, by the way, perhaps not so subtle. Their methods may be more subtle, their arguments may be more seductive, but make no mistake about it, their goals are exactly the same. The concentration of power into the hands of the few, not coincidentally them, and the use of that power to regulate every aspect of our public and private lives, invariably for our own good. Ladies and gentlemen, whether it's the existence of state agencies charged with the mission of monitoring people's thoughts and punishing those who dissent from the latest orthodoxy, or it's the more passive but equally destructive dependency-inducing policies of an elite that has more faith in government programs than in flesh and blood human beings, the totalitarian temptation is alive and well in this country, and it's as strong as it ever has been. And it's getting stronger. It's getting stronger precisely because we in Canada and in the West in general have lost sight over what it means to be free people and over what it takes to remain free. And this is especially problematic given the strength, the robustness, and the determination of the radical Islamic world, whether you call them radical Islamic, jihadists, Islamists. These people want to impose their will on us. They want to make us like them, and I don't mean that in the liking them. They want to make us like them, and they are prepared to use our own institutions of democracy in order to accomplish that. And too many people in this country, too many people in the West, Stalin used to refer to them as useful idiots, they still are too ready to go along with it. Not because they want us to become Muslims, but because they don't understand. They don't understand what it means to be free. They don't understand that the price that you have to pay every single day of your life to remain free and to retain a free and democratic society. And so more and more we see our very institutions of democracy being subverted, being used to attack freedom rather than protect it. To attack those who defend freedom rather than defending those who defend freedom. And this is a very serious problem. And it's why what Arnie and Kathy do is so important, and why they need our support. And our support in particular, because my friends, no community is as threatened today by the erosion of liberty and the loss of our ability to articulate its principles and defend them in the public square than is ours. Arnie and Kathy are not just great friends of Israel and our community because they like klezmer music or they prefer matzo ball soup.
They do.
And I don't know whether they do, by the way, or not. I don't particularly like matzo ball soup myself. And I don't like klezmer music. And now, as I said that, I thought I shouldn't have said that while people are recording. Anyway, Arnie and Kathy are great friends of our community and great friends of Israel because they're great friends of liberty. And they're willing to stand in the front lines in defense of freedom and liberty. And so, ladies and gentlemen, in closing, I want you not just to give to their defense fund, but to give generously. Because the fight that they're fighting really is our fight on the front lines of defending freedom and liberty. Thank you very much.